Hello, and welcome to Candidates Up Front. This is a public interest election program of Berks Community Television and the League of Women Voters of Berks County. I'm Judith Cranis. Our May 20th municipal primary election is fast approaching. Democrats and Republicans will select their candidates for judges, school directors, and township, borough, and city officials. This is the election where Democrats and Republicans choose the candidates who will represent them on the November ballot. However, when there is a question on the ballot, as there is in the Kutztown School District, all registered voters in that district vote on the question. It's not just Democrats and Republicans. Any registered voter should come and vote. To check your voting status, you can go online to vote.pa.gov. And that is the official state Pennsylvania website. It's a government site, very safe. And there you can register to vote. You can change your party. You can locate your polling place, or you can apply for an absentee or mail-in ballot. And the deadline to register is May 5th. The deadline to apply for a mail-in ballot is May 13th. Now, the League, in its part, is interviewing those candidates who want to be interviewed in the contested races. For each race, the candidates will get the same basic questions and have the same amount of time to answer them. Let's begin. Hello, I'm Judith Cranis, a member of the League of Women Voters of Berks County. Today we're talking about the office of Reading City Council President. And the President of City Council is elected citywide. That means everybody who lives in the city of Reading is eligible to vote and must be a resident of the city. The president presides at council meetings, and he performs those duties needed to organize council's function. She or he has the same voting powers as the other 6 district council members, and the president interacts with the mayor and other government entities and represents the voice of council. So this is the person who would be speaking for the council after the council has decided on an issue and voted. The position is part-time, but I think as we're going to learn as we interview candidates for this position, that is a lot of work for a part-time job. The term is 4 years. The only contested race here is on the Democratic ballot, and there are 3 candidates: Jamie Baez Jr., Vanessa Campos, and Donna Reed. And you as the voter will vote for one of those 3 if you're registered in the Democratic Party. Now, we're going to hopefully talk to all 3 candidates, and each candidate's views are their own. They're not those of the League or of Berks Community Television. And today the candidate we're welcoming is Jamie Baez Jr. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Judith.
Glad to have you with us.
Appreciate you.
Could you start us off by telling a little bit about yourself and why you're running for this position?
Yeah, so I am the current city councilman for District 2 in the city of Reading, Pennsylvania. I currently also serve for State Representative Johanny Cepeda Freitas as a full-time employee. And I am also owner of Smothered Sensations by JCJ LLC, a food truck serving baked potatoes, walking tacos, and hot dogs. I will say, though, with my full-time job in council, the food truck this year, I've put a stop to it because of how busy I've gotten, especially with the campaign. I have been doing volunteer work since 2012, whether it be street cleanups, which is what I started with, doing volunteer work, to financial literacy in the high schools. And on top of that, I was also able to serve on the board for Reading Pride Celebration. I started off as a volunteer. My second year, I was the chair of events. Third year, chair of volunteers. And then I had a quick stint as vice president of the organization. To that effect, one of the reasons that I'm running, Judith, is because I think my heart has always been in serving. It always has. Whether it be street cleanups, financial literacy, or being on a board, I've always wanted to give back in some kind of way. Mm-hmm.
Can you give us a little more information on what education or background you would have had that makes this job a good fit?
So I will tell you, I started off after high school going to massage therapy school, and I quickly learned that I'd rather be receiving, right, like the massage and paying for the service and being the one providing it, because I'm a social butterfly and it's quiet in those rooms. But to my education after high school, that is what I went to school for, and I did get certified as a massage therapist. From there, I did get into finances, and so I worked for two different bank institutions. I did work my way up from customer service representative all the way up to getting into the branch and working at the branch directly with individuals. And I was also with Wells Fargo. It was a loan processor for a little bit there. So I believe I have a very diverse background when it comes to jobs, starting off as humbly, I started off as a janitor, right? And then from janitor, I got into customer service, and now into my current job with State Rep Johanny.
Mm-hmm. And what personal qualities do you feel that helps you be an effective person on council? Of
very
council,
good question.
actually president of the council, because you've been on the council.
Correct. I would say life experiences, right? Wearing the shoes that many have worn or are currently wearing, whether it be that janitor, whether it be that a warehouse worker, or that customer service representative. And so I think that life experience and leadership, along with having the heart for the role, is qualities that I have to be an effective president. Mm-hmm. I think I also have very good interpersonal skills and communication skills, which I think is very important in that role, especially when you are the liaison between the administration and council body, the liaison for the community, for the police department. So I think it's very important to have good communication skills.
Mm-hmm. And what do you see as the biggest issues that will be facing Reading in the next 4 years? That's a hard question.
Change and fiscal stability. Not sure if you're aware, Judith, but right now, the Governor Shapiro has approved the CRIZ, the Community Revitalization Improvement Zone. And by approving such designation, any taxes that we would normally pay to the state within that designated area of the mapping of the Community Revitalization Improvement Zone, taxes that would normally go to the state are now actually going to be invested into the city. And so if anyone is familiar with like Allentown, Lancaster, Bethlehem, and I know Lancaster had the NIZ, Neighborhood Improvement Zone. And so with that being said, what we're going to see is huge development in the downtown area. And I know Marble Ranch just had a renovation. That didn't have to do with the CRIZ, but we saw how excited people really got with that. And so I can't wait to see the development that's going to come into the city of Reading because of the Community Revitalization Improvement Zone. And we're going to need bold and strong leadership to lead that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you've talked to citizens all the time. What do you see as the most important concerns of the people who live in the city?
Housing. Housing is a huge one. We are down 5,000 units, whether that be apartments or just homes in general. And it's going to be very important that we continue to strategize so that we get development going when it has to do with housing. Parking is another huge one. And I know the planters down on Penn Street, they're going to be removed and they're going to have parking there. It's something that we have spoken of on council. And so the problems that I see is fiscal stability and making sure that we're remaining responsible as all this development is going on, making sure that we're also bringing businesses to the city of Reading because it's needed.
Mm-hmm. And, okay, I have a question here that's going to seem out of order, but we're going to get back in order in a minute. When council is approving a mayoral appointment, what criteria will you consider about that? What are the things you consider when you're deciding if you want to approve that appointment?
I would say the background of the person who will be attempting to be appointed, or their history and their experience. So background, history, experience, and personality. I think it's important when leading that we are always communicating, always being transparent, with integrity, right, and having a good moral standing. And that's going to be important when making a decision if that were to come to council.
Okay, now we're getting back onto the tack we were on before. which is blighted properties, because the city has a lot of buildings that were made, a long time ago, and some of those have fallen into disrepair. How would you address the city, the problem of blighted homes and blighted businesses in the city?
Well, I think we've already started attempting to address that. We have 2 inspectors who are designated just to blighted properties. Council approved that. I was happy to support that. I think when we move forward, we need to continue to work with the Reading Redevelopment Authority, making sure that we are, again, communicating within boards, authorities, and commissions to get things moving for the city of Reading. And I think that it's going to be very important for us as leaders to reach out and have those hard conversations with the developers coming into the city, but also inviting them to come into the city. It's going to be very important to build communication and relationships with those who have businesses that maybe aren't on Penn Street. And maybe we want to entice them to come into the city.
Mm-hmm. Now, I have found, because I'm in Reading a lot, that I find it a very safe place. I've never had anything unsafe happen other than tripping on a curb I should have seen. And I think most people see Reading that way. But there are areas where there are issues with drugs, with gangs. Sometimes it's just disagreements among people. But it hurts the neighborhoods, it hurts reputations. What can the city do to thwart that kind of violence?
So I want to start off by mentioning that crime is at a 9-year all-time low. And that's very important. I think that a lot of times when it comes to crime or the city of Reading and how safe one feels, it is perception. And we need to help in changing that perception, right? And there are things that I myself have done as a city councilman to change that perception, and what I will continue to do as council president to change that perception. One of the main things that we need to do is continue to have events at parks, right? Whether it be Pandora Park or City Park, those are in my district, so those are the main ones that I mentioned. But like the event that I coordinated with Party at the Park or Turkey Giveaway, Christmas Giveaway, just making sure that we're out in the community being active, and I think that engagement helps to diminish that perception.
Mm-hmm. And I certainly have taken, when we used to have concerts in the park in the summer, that was my birthday month, and I would always have my birthday party at the concert in the park, and that was always a good time.
I'll need an invitation to that.
Well, if we have the concerts this year, we will have an invitation. We're going to talk for a minute about budgets, because budgets are very important to taxpayers, because that has to do with how much tax they pay. Sometimes the services that people like the parks we were just talking about, and libraries, which are important, sometimes those are underfunded, so that things that people need, like the police and street repair, which are also important, can be properly funded. And those tend to be bigger budget than some of those things that are the things we actually love. How will you prioritize spending when you vote for the budget?
I think by necessity, right? I think there are things that all of us would like to see, we would want to see it, but there are things that supersede that, which are needs, right? We need our police force, we need our firefighters, we need a sanitation, whether it be the street cleaners. And so I think that's how I would prioritize, with needs in comparison to wants.
Ah, okay. And how will you encourage public participation in those issues that are being decided by the council?
Well, with what I've done in my capacity as councilman, right? Hold community meetings, make sure that I am a feet on the ground, making sure I'm taking those flyers to the households within my neighborhood, so that way they are aware that a meeting is happening. I think that advertising as well on Facebook, Instagram, making sure that by going door to door, right, I think there are certain individuals that don't use social media, so you want to make sure that you attempt to get to them. And then there are other individuals who just use, I think, a lot of social media. So we have to make sure that there's a combination of promotion of the events and what is happening within the city of Reading. And we really need to continue to be engaged with our neighbors. I was just at a community meeting last night at the Hessian Camp Council, and I can just tell the positive feeling that people get because you have someone who is a legislator, someone who represents you, who's there at the meeting, and that's important because they want to be able to express and you want to be able to provide information to them. And so I think being continuously engaged, which is what I ran on actually as District 2 councilman, and I've kept my promise with that.
So you'll continue the same route.
Correct.
Yes. And what would be your priorities for the coming term?
I would say enhancing communication between the council body as a whole, getting input from each councilor. I think also with the mayor and having better communication and transparency for the public. I think my 4 principles that I'm running on are common sense laws or ordinances. If they're old and outdated and they work, let's keep them. If they're old and outdated and they're no longer suiting us, then we need to update them. My second one is communication, transparency. I believe that it is very important for us to be transparent with the public because that's how we build trust within our communities. And last but not least, but unity and making sure that we're staying united.
Mm-hmm. And what are your ideas? We have a question that has a couple parts to it here, but what are your ideas for making Reading an attractive place for families?
So it's interesting because this question brought a smile to my face because I have this idea that I would love to see in the city of Reading. I do want to go back to staying engaged, right? I think that that's going to be important to making an attractive place is making sure that we're out in our communities so people can see that. But I would like to see a zip line up by the mountain, come down to the DoubleTree, then you get to go to the Santander Arena, or the Performing Arts. But I would really like to see a lot more of what we have, which is an amusement tax, and bringing folks, come to Reading, right? Come visit Reading. You're going to love it, and you're going to get some good entertainment. And while doing so, I'm hoping that at some point we'll have a zip line by the mountain and really have the pagoda, which is what it is, our North Star.
Now, if that question were phrased with businesses, what would you do to bring businesses to the city of Reading?
I think that we need to have incentives. We need to let business owners know that we do want them in the city of Reading, and we need to make it easier. So I know that we've taken a look on council now. We just passed zoning amendments 1 and 2, which will facilitate, I believe, when it comes to redaptive use. And so that's going to be very important.
Say that word again, redaptive use.
Correct.
Maybe you want to define that because it's new to me, so maybe it is for our home viewers.
So what you're able to do with the building, sometimes, let's say if you own a building and it's only for commercial space, but let's say you want to put apartments in there because we're short 5,000. So we want to be able to allow developers or business owners to be able to develop the buildings that they purchase and they are investing into. And that's going to be very important.
Okay. And how are you financing your campaign?
So I will say mainly grassroots, right? Family, friends. However, I have been honored and blessed to have the endorsement of the Labor Council Union. So whether that be sheet metal workers, the plumbers, the electricians, the carpenters, they have all kind of rallied behind me and they have been supporting me as well, not only morally but financially. So I want to thank all labor unions for helping me in this running campaign, and that is how I'm funding it. It's family, friends, and so far the labor unions. I will say though to that effect that in the history of Reading, the FOP, Fraternity Order of Police, have never endorsed a candidate in the history of the city of Reading on a municipal level. And I am proud to say that I am the first candidate that they have endorsed in my running for city council president. So I haven't seen any financials yet, but I'm hoping they'll come on board.
I'm sure the word spreading is an important thing. And I think that is true in local politics. So I would encourage all our watchers, if you see a candidate you like, tell your neighbors, remind them it's important to go to the polls because the more people vote, the better decisions we make.
That's right. So that's right. Out of 100,000 people, only 5% vote. That's 5,000 out of 100,000.
In this particular election, I'm guessing more do in the fall.
In general, in elections.
General. We can do better than that, Reading. We can do better than that. Yeah, we're going to get that number up. I think we're ready then for your closing statement.
So I just want to say, right, change is inevitable. Change comes whether we like it or not. And I think in this election, we have to really think about what kind of change do we want to see in the city of Reading? How do we want to see it progress? And if you are a voter out there and you want to see a positive change, if you want to see a council body that works for you, come out and vote for Jamie Baez Jr. And, and if you're not going to vote for Jamie Baez Jr., I'd like to emphasize this. You don't have to vote for Jamie Bias Jr., but get out and have your voice heard because it's very important. And again, 5,000 people out of 100,000, we can do better than that. So get out and have your voice heard on May 20th, 2025.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to say thank you for sharing your views with us. This was enlightening, and I learned things, and I always love learning. Viewers, I want you to remember there are 2 other candidates on the Democratic ballot for President of City Council, and those names are Donna Reed and Vanessa Campos, and we expect that we will be talking to them, so you will be able to compare 3 candidates, and this all will be postable. Let me get into that part because I've got it written so I don't make a mistake. Our candidate upfront interviews, that's what this is, will be on BCTV and its website and YouTube page, and we expect that to happen sometime before mail-in ballots are mailed out. So you should see them then. If it's the month before the election, they should be up and running. So it's the BCTV website, which is real simple, bctv.org. Or if you go to YouTube and you type in BCTV on the search for thing, you will find them there. Now, if you want more information on these candidates, there's at the League's online voters guide, vote411.org. So you go online, you plug in vote411.org, takes you to the website, and it will ask you your address. You type in your address, it does not remember it. You're not going to get any other emails, no spam calls, nothing from doing this because it takes you, that address takes you to what's on your particular ballot. And then you see exactly who you'll be voting for. And if the candidates have answered our questions, there will be information there on all the candidates on your ballot. And as I said, it does not remember your address. It's gone as soon as it gets you to the right page. If you have any issues with the actual process of the election, those will be solved by the Election Services Department at the County of Berks. And we have worked with them. They are ideal to work with, absolutely perfect. Elections at berkspa.gov. So it's elections@berkspa.gov. We'll get you their website for phone numbers, addresses, anything you need. And we thank you for watching Candidates Up Front.